Today, we'll be diving into the fascinating topic of what goes on in the mind of an IELTS examiner. We'll be breaking down their expectations and criteria step by step so you know exactly what they're looking for. Now, many of you are working really hard preparing for the IELTS test, and sometimes it can feel like you are aiming at a moving target and you're not really sure what to do. But what if you could get a clear picture of what the IELTS examiner really wants so you can perform in such a way that you get yourself the highest band possible? Wouldn't that be great? I think it would be. Now, if you always want valuable videos on how you can raise your band score to the target score that you want in the IELTS test, hit subscribe, like the video, and you'll never miss an episode that we make just for you. So in case you're wondering, why on earth should you trust me? Now, I'm not meaning to toot my own horn here, but I have taught over 3,400 IELTS classes, and I've got over 1,200 5-star reviews. And I've also helped a lot of my students pass the IELTS from band 7 to 8 and move abroad, whether to study or to work or to immigrate. So I do know a thing or two to help you out here. So moving right along, now let's understand the role of the IELTS examiner. And you might be wondering, who are these people? Well, IELTS examiners are experienced professionals who have undergone rigorous training and certification so that they can assess your English language skills fairly and accurately. And they're also there to ensure that the test is indeed fair and carried out consistently across all candidates. And no, they are not there to shoot down your dreams of moving abroad for studying or work by harshly judging your English, as I've seen most students believe. Let's have a look at the 4 main criteria that the examiner uses to assess your English. Firstly, there's fluency and coherence. This basically means how smoothly can you talk and how well can you organize your ideas logically in such a way that you make sense. That's what it's about. And next, there's lexical resource, which means what vocabulary can you use naturally and correctly. This is not just about using big words or advanced vocabulary. There seems to be a lot of emphasis of using advanced vocabulary here, but rather it's about how can you use the vocabulary that you know correctly, and are you doing so? So it's about blending or mixing the two, a combination of simple words and advanced words used together in a sentence correctly. Next, grammatical range and frequency and accuracy. So this is all about your grammar. How well can you use the variety of grammar that you have in a sentence to communicate? And lastly, it's pronunciation. Basically, how understandable are you? It's not all about having a native-like accent, but is your accent clear enough for me to hear the words that you say and understand them well? That is what they're looking for there. So having said that, those are the 4 main criteria that the examiners will use to assess your English. Perhaps one more that I will add from that is your own flair and personality. Now, it may not seem like much to you, but the examiner seeing you use English in a way that is your style, as if you are speaking your native language. It's not about being 100% fluent or not, but really embodying English, having fun with it, and putting your personality into it as you speak. That also goes a long way, even though it's not formally listed as one of the 4 main criteria that are being assessed, but that goes a long way. Now, let's talk about your writing. In this section, there are also 4 areas that the examiner assesses. And to be fair, they are kind of similar with your speaking. Firstly, there's task achievement. Task achievement for task 1 and 2 basically means, did you answer the question fully? So did you go over and beyond addressing all points that the question wanted you to discuss? That's the first thing. The second thing is coherence and cohesion. It's kind of similar to fluency and coherence. Basically, this means, how well did you organize your ideas? Did you organize your ideas logically in a way that they are easy to understand? Next is also lexical resource, which means the same thing as in the speaking. Did you use your vocabulary correctly? And lastly, there's grammatical range and accuracy. Also same thing. Did you use a variety of grammatical structures correctly to express your points or report? So those are the 4 criteria that are assessed when it comes to your writing. What would this video be if we did not go through the common IELTS mistakes, or the common mistakes that people make in IELTS exams? You ready? I got a few good ones for you. Now, obviously, we can't cover everything because there is a lot to cover, to be honest, in this section. But let's just cover 2 main ones that I think if you actually embody this, it'll make a large difference, all right? The first one is over-rehearsing. Now, over-rehearsing is when you have a look at the questions and then you plan an answer, create an answer, and you memorize it, and you take that answer as it is straight to the exam. Now, believe it or not, this actually does not help you sound fluent. The reason being is when you over-rehearse an answer, you will lose your natural ability to speak, to intonate the sentence, to pause naturally, and to continue speaking because you've rehearsed the answer. So what it then becomes is, how quickly can I say this answer to finish the sentence, which ends up making you sound robotic, and the examiner will most likely pick up that this is an rehearsed answer and mark you down for that. So what we like to do in our IELTS training classes with candidates is practice natural conversations, even though we are practicing using a mock test. How do we do this? First of all, I always tell my candidates, listen guys, treat this like it's a good old conversation that you're having with a friend you haven't seen in a long time. Even though we are going through the IELTS questions from part 1, 2, and 3 in speaking, but treat it that way. Because if you do, what that creates is a mindset for you to express yourself in a friendly and yet natural, and of course, using exam English that you'll need in the IELTS and all the rest of it. But it creates that kind of mindset in you that you're going to be talking like you're talking with a friend, but most importantly, you're going to make sure that your English language skills reflect. So just the mindset change there goes a long way. Now, the second one is speaking too quickly. For some reason, speaking quickly is kind of associated with speaking like a native speaker. Because most of the time when you hear native speakers talk, they'll be speaking very quickly. So it's easy for some candidates to associate speaking quickly with being like a native speaker and sounding natural. But in reality, that's actually the opposite. When you speak too quickly, the first thing that you will project is nervousness. That's the first thing you'll project. You're kind of nervous and you're trying to go through these questions as quickly as you can because you want this test to end as quickly as possible because you're uncomfortable, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing, which is probably the biggest problem, is after each time you finish your answer, you will realize, oh, I could have used this word. I could have actually said this way. Oh, I forgot to actually use this linking word there because you're speaking too fast and you're not really giving yourself enough time to think. So slowing down your speaking pace to think gives you some time to remember the vocabulary, the grammar, and all the complex sentences that you've been learning, and gives you a time to plan your answer ahead, even if it's just for a few seconds or a few milliseconds slower. You'll be able to remember better, you'll be able to plan your answers better, and you'll be able to give a better performance overall just by slowing down a little bit and using natural pauses in certain places depending on your sentence to help you sound natural. So having said that, those are the two really big mistakes that I've seen students do, and they seem to be common with a lot of IELTS candidates. So please keep that in mind for your IELTS test. Now, here's some hot tips to help you avoid these pitfalls overall, and we'll also speak about writing a little bit this time too. First thing is practice speaking using a variety of topics to improve your fluency. There's nothing more stressful than getting a surprise topic when you're actually in the middle of the test. This is why in our IELTS training, even though we practice using mock test and there's a certain structure that the IELTS is put together, what we'll do is we'll practice using different topics. So part one, we'll have a variety of topics in part one, a variety of topics in part two, and a variety of topics in part three. This helps you as the candidate know exactly how to maneuver and answer the various topics that you may get. And lastly, another pro tip that I'll just put in there for you as a little tidbit, actually practice how to answer an asked question when you don't know the answer. In other words, what do you say when you do not know the answer to a question or you are unfamiliar with the topic? How do you actually go about that? So practice how would you manage those situations. And it would go something like this. Let's say they ask me about a holiday that I've gone to in another country, for example. And I'll respond saying something like this. Well, to be honest, I've actually never taken a holiday abroad. However, I do assume that if I would probably go to Rome, and I would probably have a good look at the architecture, which is quite different. I would really be interested in trying different foods that are there. So you have sentence starters that would help you to maneuver. Like, for example, to be honest, I've never actually traveled abroad, so be honest. And then answer the question saying something like, but I would imagine that it would be da 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 da, and you explain what you mean, or what you want to say rather. Let's say they ask you a topic which is not to do with traveling, but just asking you maybe about what's your favorite device, or what's a device that you like to use, or maybe they say what is some artwork that you've seen which is very interesting to you, or whatever the case is. Then you can say, to be honest, I'm not really an expert on fine art, so I don't really have a favorite painting. However, I have seen some paintings from Van Gogh, and I gravitate more towards that type of art if we're talking about fine art or abstract art. So you have those type of sentence starters or vocabulary you could use to manage to answer a question that you're really not an expert on, and you really just don't know, or you don't have any experience. So that's a pro tip there. Next is read widely to enhance your vocabulary. Reading, okay? What I am saying is read widely, so read different topics about different things from different places. What I don't mean is read a novel every day, or read as much as possible every day. That is counterproductive, because what's going to happen is you're going to overwhelm yourself with a lot of reading, with a lot of new words, and you're going to feel discouraged or demotivated from actually learning this large amount of vocabulary that you've just acquired. Rather, I would say 100 words or 150 words a day, or a paragraph of about 10 lines. But if you do that every day, one, it'll be manageable. Two, you'll be consistent. And 3, you will be able to digest the amount of vocabulary that you're learning instead of reading large amounts and overwhelming yourself. So that's point 2. And lastly, write regularly and get feedback from an expert to help correct your grammar, show you how to express your ideas better, and to overall check what band are you actually acquiring in your writing. So what we like to do in our IELTS training is we have a speaking class, we have a writing class. However, in the writing class, students will actually write the task as homework and time themselves, okay? Once they've done that, they'll submit that homework to our platform, and I would be there to review that homework, mark that homework, and assign a band to them that I estimate this is the band that you would get from this task. Then in class, we review that together and they can ask questions, and I can also question them on what they were thinking, what they meant with the sentence, what's the angle that they were structuring their answers, whether it's a task 1 or task 2 essay. So to have that type of interaction is invaluable, and it really helps you go from band 5.5 or 6 all the way to band 7.5 and 8. Working along with an expert really helps, which is what I try to do every single time consistently with the candidates that I work with. So I think that is all when it comes to that section. So as this video comes to an end, let's talk about what IELTS examiners truly appreciate. IELTS examiners appreciate candidates who can speak confidently and naturally. Case in point, in the writing section, they do appreciate candidates who can write down their answers clearly and logically, as well as fluently and coherently when it comes to the speaking part. That is the main underlying factor. Now, of course, using a wide range of grammatical structures and vocabulary can impress them as well, showing your knowledge and command of the English language. But most importantly, just know that when you're going in there, the IELTS is there to truly assess, can you communicate clearly, understandably, and can you also be communicated to clearly and understand what is being said, all right? It's not about perfection, but it's about how well can you communicate and can you show me that? So that's mainly what the IELTS is about. Now let's go straight to the conclusion. To wrap up, I hope this video gave you a clear understanding of what the IELTS examiners are looking for, and I hope that we shed some clarity on what the IELTS exam is truly about, and with that took away some fear, hesitation, and anxiety from you. As you prepare for this test, always remember, feedback and practice are your 2 best friends. Now, if you would like some assistance with that and you would really like to take your IELTS score to a band 7.5 or 8, or you want to add a band or 2 bands to where you currently are, we do have a program, a course where you work directly with me each and every session, and you will be able to get practice, feedback, questions of the season, and a really customized approach to helping you with your challenges. I've spent 4 to 6 years, I think 6 years or so now, teaching students how to prepare for this IELTS test. So when it comes to that, I'm well-rounded and happy to give you some assistance there. So if you're interested in that, type ready in the comments to let me know or let any of us in the team know. And remember to like and subscribe to the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. If you have any other questions as well, drop them in the comments. Bye.